Hello and welcome back to the Great British History course. This episode will focus on one of the most famous campaigns overseas in British history, the Third Crusade, as well as the events preceding it. This event was an attempt to reclaim Jerusalem for Christendom. Jerusalem itself was first captured by Western Crusaders during the First Crusade, which itself occurred when Pope Urban II made a call for an armed pilgrimage to the nobles of Europe to capture the Holy Land and Jerusalem in particular. The Crusade was also intended to give support to the weakened Byzantine Empire and to reduce the amount of conflict in Europe by essentially sending all of the warriors of the land overseas to fight a common enemy. The First Crusade was a miraculous success, with the Christian armies capturing Antioch in 1098, after, according to legend, a soldier found the spear that pierced the side of Jesus at his crucifixion, and finally the army went on to take Jerusalem itself in 1099. This crusade established the Outremer, the coastal strip of the Holy Land controlled by the Crusaders and Christendom. Jerusalem was, however, recaptured by the Muslims nearly 100 years later in 1187 under the leadership of Saladin. Saladin was a Kurdish Sunni Muslim who had risen to the position of Sultan of Egypt and Syria, and had begun a campaign against the Crusader states. He had immense success, as he was able to conquer most of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, as well as crushing an army under the command of Guy of Lusignan at the Battle of Hattin in June 1187. This encounter led to the annihilation of a 32,000-man strong Christian force. The Muslim victory was primarily because of the stupidity of the Crusaders. This was because Guy decided to march his heavily armoured force, which comprised hundreds of horses and thousands of men, across the waterless plain of Turan, whilst the Saracen force of lightly armed skirmishers was able to act as a constant harassment. It is therefore of little surprise that in the sweltering heat and with no water, the Crusaders were in no position to fight a battle effectively, and much of the infantry deserted during the fighting to take refuge on the slopes of one of the horns of Hattin, one of the nearby hills. These men would be slain or sold into slavery after the main battle. Even the charges of the Crusader cavalry failed, as the Muslim force was nimble enough to avoid the frontal assaults, but only left the knights and their mounts even more exhausted. Saladin did, though, ensure victory by setting much of the area alight before the battle, which enhanced the issue of thirst amongst the Crusader force, as well as ordering his skirmishers before the battle to focus on destroying the Turcopoles, local mounted archers who had converted to Christianity and fought alongside the Crusaders. These were the only force in the Crusader army that could counter the agility of the Saracens. After the battle, all members of the orders of the Knights Templar and Knights Hospitaller, as well as any Turcopoles, were slaughtered. Guy himself was ransomed for a huge cost of 11 Crusader-held castles. It was after this battle that Saladin took Jerusalem itself back from the Christians. As a result of these disasters, Pope Gregory VIII called for a Third Crusade. The call was answered by Henry II of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. Henry II, though, died in 1189 and was succeeded by his son, Richard I, known today as Richard the Lionheart. The first ruler to head for the Holy Land was Frederick Barbarossa in May 1189. he had ruled, as Voltaire put it, the not holy, nor Roman, nor an empire, Holy Roman Empire, for 34 years, when he left for his crusade. He had a reputation as a brilliant general and as a charismatic leader, but was, at the time of setting out to his crusade, at the elderly age of 67. It is said that he marched with an army of up to 100,000 fighters, and he took the overland route to reach the Holy Land. After initial success, with a victory at the Battle of Iconium against the Sultanate of Rum, Frederick Barbarossa anticlimactically drowned crossing the Göksu River in modern Turkey. After this, his army quickly dissolved, some soldiers carrying on to the Holy Land, but most returned home. Join us next time to see how Philip, and more importantly how Richard do, on their voyage to what remains of the Outremer, as well as their success in the Holy Land itself, as they attempt to undo all the gains Saladin has made. Thanks for watching the Great British History course, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.